What's up, folks, and welcome back to Dyce Reacts, where we are staying in Australia tonight. Oh yeah, we are going to be checking out 10 weird things about Australians. Very much I checks one out. We ain't going to waste no more time. Just going to get right into it, folks. We're going to get right into it. Oh yeah.
What's good, y'all? Tristan here, and today we're going to be going over 10 weird things about Australians and Australia. I've been here for almost 1 year now, and as much as I love it here, I do have to say that there are a couple things that Australians do that, I don't know, Americans and maybe other people just find a little bit odd. So the first weird thing about Australians is the mullet. I don't know who the f decided to bring the mullet back in style, but dude, come on, Australia, did y'all not learn from the 80s? No one has ever looked at someone with the mullet and gone, damn, that's a good haircut. If you're not a gun-toting, polyamorous, homosexual with like 200 plus pet tigers, or I don't know, something else crazy exotic like that, like the mullet is not for you. Number 2, shoeys. So, if you don't know what a shoey is, a shoey...
That was a crazy ass statement he just made there. What?
It's kind of like a beer bong in America. You take an entire beer, you pour it in your shoe, and you chug it out of your shoe. I'm not saying all Australians are doing this. It's kind of like...
I've heard that term already, but I didn't know it was drinking out from a shoe. I thought it was just like a slang for a shoe, but I didn't know it was an actual activity with a shoe, let alone drinking out of a shoe. Huh? I mean, that shoe has to be brand new. I mean, brand new for me to even try that. Hell nah.
The American beer bong, like, you know, a younger crowd, college kids here. It's
not even if it's my shoe.
Kind of like college bogans, like that group. They like to do it. I've seen a couple of them do it, and a lot of them have tried to get me to do it. It's kind of nasty, and I don't want a wet shoe. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've done nasty drinking things too, but I don't know. Shoey, you gotta admit, it's kind of a little bit weird. Number 3, and that is the word footy refers to 2 different sports depending where you are in Australia. So 3 really common sports in Australia are, there's Australian football, there's rugby league, and there's rugby union. When I was in Melbourne, everyone was talking about footy referring to Australian football. It's like slang for Australian football. Yet then I came up to Cairns and everyone's like, oh yo, footy season's about to start. And I'm like, whoa, wait, like, isn't it already started? And they're like, oh no, like, no, not Australian football, like not AFL, like rugby league. Okay. And I'm like, what? Like, footy means rugby league? So yeah, so I don't know where the line is, but up in the north part, like in Cairns, it means rugby league, and when you're down south in Melbourne, it means footy. All right, the 4th weird...
Because I really thought footy was specifically referred to AFL as a shortened form, like, you know, like a nickname. Didn't know the others as well used that same term, which is interesting and which is weird. You would think that the other sports would have their own nickname. Okay.
Thing about Australia is that vaping with nicotine is illegal here. So let me explain why that's kind of weird. So first of all, vaping is not illegal here. You're allowed to vape, but you just cannot vape with nicotine. The reason for it is because they have a law that says you can't sell anything with nicotine in it that's not like cigarettes, tobacco, whatnot, or a quitting aid. And for some reason, vaping's not considered a quitting aid, even though like hundreds of thousands of people have quit smoking through vaping. I'm not saying vaping is healthier or better or anything like that, but pretty much all studies do say that it is better than smoking, or at least equal to smoking. Nothing to my knowledge has come out saying that it's worse. The next thing that I think is really weird about Australia is you guys get so much damn time off for a stupid horse race. Sorry, I probably shouldn't call it stupid. It's a big cool horse race. Like if for you Americans, we have like the Kentucky Derby. It's a really big horse race. Like there's the Melbourne Cup is a really like huge, like one of the biggest horse races in the world, and it takes place here in Australia. Anyways, this like 3-minute horse race is, I don't know, somehow justifies an entire public holiday. You get the whole day off from work. If you are working, then you get paid a time and a half, and that's like not even the start to the craziness. So I was coaching gymnastics and I was in Melbourne when this happened, and all the kids that I was coaching, they did not just get, well, it landed on a Tuesday, they did not just get that Tuesday off, they also got that Monday off of school, and a couple of them, and some of the private school kids, they also got the Friday before. So every single kid had 4 days off of school at least, and some had 5. The Super Bowl is like one of, if not the like biggest, like most watched sporting event in the world, and we don't even get a public holiday or time off work for that. Not hating on the fact that y'all get time off, to be fair, I'm honestly kind of just jealous, but nevertheless, it is a little bit weird. All right, the next one is not that strange, but I personally found this kind of weird when coming here, and that is every single one of your outlets has like an on-off switch, so you can like turn the electricity to the outlet on or off. I don't really get this because like if you want to turn something off, you usually just like turn it off. Like if you have a lamp plugged in, you turn the lamp off, and then if you didn't want to like hit the switch to turn it off, then you can like unplug it is another way to turn it off. But
I mean, there are still switches where I'm from, in the Caribbean. I'm St. Lucia. we still have that option where there is a turn off and turn off on the switch. So I guess it's not a common thing in other parts of the world, but I would think that it's somewhat maybe still common. But there are switches where you don't have the on and off option, but it's still there as far as I know. It's still there. So I'm guessing he's not seeing it as much.
I don't know, here in Australia there's also a third way to turn it off if you want. You can go to the little outlet and switch it off. Yeah. For some reason, a lot of Australians like to turn things off by turning the power to the switch off, which I don't know, like, is there an advantage to that? I really don't know any sort of advantage there is to doing that. The only thing that I can really think of is, like, maybe if you have like a baby or little kid and you don't want them like accidentally electrocuting themselves by like sticking a knife in there, yeah, then that's like a good benefit of it. But like, aside from that, which is like a very rare case, I don't know, I don't see the use of having all the switches. But yeah, you legally have to have them here in Australia. All right, now the seventh weird thing about Australia is that voting here is mandatory. Like, if you don't vote, you get fined. In America and in most other like Western democratic governments, voting is like a freedom, like a right. However, in Australia, I think it's kind of more of like an obligation. The fines aren't crazy expensive. Like, I don't know, it differs between like if it's a state election, I think, or a national election. I don't know the details. I've heard 20, I've heard 55, I've heard 100. But either way, I think it's kind of crazy that you like can get fined to not vote, because so like in America and a lot of other countries, there is a problem with people not voting. So I get why you would do that. However, in Australia, like, Australians also complain that you have a bunch of like dumbasses voting that like don't know anything about politics.
I'm going to always have a problem with that, because if both of the oppositions don't really give you any kind of, in terms of their portfolio and some of the things that they want to do, and maybe they have a track record of not doing a good job in certain aspects when it comes to actually getting things done, the work ethic and the promises they have said in the past. So the citizens should have no criteria in voting for someone. So a politician could be anyone, because even if you have two options in voting, if the two options are subpar per se, why would you force somebody to vote if they don't see any merit in voting for either of these individuals? And if they don't see merit in either of these individuals, and that could be, like I said, maybe they have a track record of not keeping their promise or doing a good job when they're in office, why would they vote? Why would you force them to vote? I have a problem with the government actually putting a fee on people that don't vote. I certainly have a problem with that.
And they just vote so they don't get fined. I think if this was in America, like, we already have a bunch of like idiots like voting. We don't need all idiots being forced to vote. I don't know, I can't really say if it's better or worse, but I will say I think it's a little bit weird. Another thing that is really weird about Australia is their McDonald's are run by like children. So what I mean by this is pretty much the minimum wage in Australia, it varies like based upon how old you are. As you get older, the minimum wage goes up from the time you're like, I don't know, I think you can start working here like 14, 15, something like that. And once you're like 19, 20, around that age, then you hit like the maximum minimum wage. So because McDonald's is really cheap and always tries cutting costs, they only hire you if you're like under 18. Then if you're working there and you turn 19, if you're not already a manager, you're gonna get fired. Or they're at least gonna cut your hours back until like you're pretty much fired. So I actually met an Australian McDonald's manager, and he was only 18, and he said him and all like he was like a shift manager, and like him and like the managers above him, they're all between the ages of 18 and 22. Even though 18 to 22 is very young to be managing that many people, I forgot to say this earlier, but I really wanted to mention this, is I think it's excellent. Like, I think this is such a great thing about Australia. Like, even though it's unusual, it's excellent, because how many other jobs, how many other places can you have, like, can you get that type of management experience at such a young age?
True that.
In my video where I talk about weird things about Americans in America, one thing I mentioned is that we use ranch on freaking everything. Like, we put ranch everywhere. And yeah, that is weird about America. But something that is also weird about Australia, they kind of have something that's very similar, and that is aioli. I don't even know if we have aioli in America. Like, if we do, it's kind of like ranch here. Like, you'll have it, but you don't really use it. But dude, I tell you, in Australia, they put aioli on freaking everything. It's definitely not as common as ranches in America, but it's...
First time I'm hearing that, and I've done a lot of Australian videos so far. What are the ingredients in aioli? Hit me up in the comments.
Still on like a lot of stuff, and you can always get it on the side of pretty much anything. All right, before I tell you about the last weird thing about Australia, I got a little like bonus weird tip for you. So this is like super specific, but it has total American vibes. Like, yes, it's weird, but this is like American weird. This isn't like Australian weird. But that is, if you go to a grocery store here, like Kohl's and Woolies, I've noticed this at both, like everything looks like it's discounted. They got little discounted things on like 75% of the products. But it took me a long time to realize this. Some of them are yellow and some are like red and white. The yellow ones are like actual discounts. All the ones with red ticket prices aren't really on sale. What the ticket price will say, so there'll be like a little price, and then there'll be a ticket on it, and it'll have a higher price, and then have a line through it and have the new price. And then if you look really closely, you'll see there'll be like a date. And that date might be 6 months ago, it might be a year ago, it might be 2 years ago. Doesn't matter when, it just means that the price, like that date on there, the price was higher on that date. It could literally be 10 cents cheaper, they'll still have that little sticker on there. So long story short, if something doesn't have like a, oh, like sale, like good price, like buy now type of thing on it, pretty much what it's saying is this product is the highest it's ever been. But it does work. Like that is like total like American capitalism, like the way we like put like tax on the top of everything, and I don't know, then there's tip, and like you always try getting more money out of people. This little trick is a total way to make you think that you're getting a deal when you're really not. It's definitely tricked me. I'm like, oh, sale, yes, and then it's not a sale. As I'm filming this, someone just rode right by me on a bicycle, and it reminded me another weird thing about Australia, but I've talked about this, so I won't add too much to it. But you legally, like, it's illegal to ride a bike without a helmet. I don't know, I think that's kind of weird. But anyways, let's move on. The 10th weird thing about Australia is you do not need to be wearing shoes or a shirt to get into most stores here. Pretty much every store in America will have a sign that says like no shoes, no shirt, no service. Well, that's not the case here. Whether you're in a Target or a Kmart, which is kind of like a Walmart, or even grocery shopping, like you don't need shoes, you don't need shirt. You can even, like, heck, you can go in like a bikini if you want. It is like total Australian vibe, so like, I don't know, you can't even really get mad at it. Australia is not the only country that has a couple of weird things about it. My country, America, has so many weird things about it. So
I mean, I heard about the not having any shoes going in stores and stuff like that. I've heard it from some videos, but I didn't know about the shirtless going in a bikini in stores and stuff like that, which is allowed. That's crazy. I didn't know Australia people used to go that far and it's allowed. That sounds like an American thing, but it's not. It's an Australian thing. That is crazy to me. Wow. And he said something that I don't know, I forgot to add when he talks about the politics. There are clearly people that shouldn't be allowed to vote at all. They don't know nothing about the policies of politicians. They don't even know what's going on politically in any way or shape or form. And yet still they go and they cast their ballot to a party that they just religiously want to vote for without knowing the issues. I mean, it's like a block, like a concrete block going and vote. It's a waste of time because you just voting for one party. Those people are not making any significance in the voting in terms of actually doing it from an intellectual standpoint. You know what I mean? I mean, you could have a preference, fine, but if something is going against your interest as a citizen of a country and you're just voting just because of a party, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. Personally, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. Yes, everyone should be allowed to vote, but at the same time, everyone should not be allowed to vote based on that reasoning that many people still do to this day, being religiously attached to a party. Yeah. And aioli, that's the first time I'm hearing aioli. You guys got to hit me up in the comments. It sounds Italian. I don't know, but sometimes I've come across a lot of Polish videos and a few Australian videos where some of the terms just sound Italian, which is very strange. So you guys gotta hit me up with the aioli. What is it made from? And I'm guessing it's like a hot sauce, like an American version. I think American loves hot sauce on basically everything. That's what I'm thinking. So it's maybe like something similar on the Australian side. But it's weird. I've done so many videos and that's the first time I'm hearing that aioli. Yeah. So like I said, there's still a lot to learn. If you want to see that launch archer that I do, hit over on Dyce Reacts, where I do music reactions. This is where I'm going to be making my exit. Until next time, peace out.